picture, Rahul's still playing Arceus in the deck. Or excuse me, Rahul is one of these players playing it. Sam is still playing Arceus in the deck. Him, I know Bradner, Isaiah Bradner, and John Eng, and all those players played this.
Yeah, that little group.
And I got to talk to Rahul in between this, and he was really preaching to me how much he believes in this deck. He came home from EUIC, he looked into this, and he said, right now, I think Beedrill is super strong. I think it's super good. As things are getting kicked off, we're getting our coin flip on the ends here. You get some time to look at these lists. Interesting cards on both ends, but Beedrill is the main engine, and it's all thanks to that Mustard, that single strike Mustard, very reminiscent to cards we've seen like Archie's Ace in the Hole and Maxi's Hidden Ball Trick.
Absolutely. So the Grant only runs one Psychic then, just a single basic energy. Interesting. Okay, that'll definitely come into play here. It looks like players are about to start. Looks like Sam is gonna go first here, just waiting on the prizes.
Yeah, we'll get into things very shortly between both of these players. Again, Sam Chen, top 4 World Championships in 2017, if my memory serves me correctly, or top 8 at that event. Has been a very dominant player for years and years. As we get the prize cards out, Fusion Strike Energy in the prizes, as well as a Genesect. A lot of key Pokemon there as well.
2 Arceus for Sam as well.
Yeah, 2 Arceus could be a big deal. Sam is opting to run 4 Arceus V,
just have the full 4.
Really prioritizing getting those out. So this will be a very interesting line. It looks like Sam may have a mulligan too. I know sometimes players like to put dice on top of their Pokemon to signal what the Pokemon is. It's different for everyone, and that looks like that most likely is what it is. I don't believe I saw any mulligans taken on one side or the other as we're getting ready into there. I like the Garchomp shirt.
Yeah, that's really nice. All right, we're starting things off. Sam Chen is going to start us off here with an Arceus versus Genesect, the classic sort of matchup here.
Absolutely. You have to imagine you're really looking to get this Arceus powered up for the second turn of the game. And look at that, double Quick Ball already in hand. It's going to open up a lot of potential options here for Sam.
Yeah, Quick Ball is definitely the card you kind of, most decks most want to see in their opening hand. It's probably the most common turn 1 play. Sam going to take a minute just to consider, what he wants to discard here. Looks like he shows nothing, but that's not a real option. He's going to go ahead and get rid of the quick shooting Inteleon there. So it's gonna cost a card either way.
And maybe miss Nest Ball. I miss Nest Ball. Being able to just play it down and grab any basic out. We have plenty of search options now, and I'm happy that it always changes around. It gives a little bit of freshness and a little bit of sense of life in the format as always.
Absolutely. So you can see Sam is going to, kind of consulting his hand. I think he's considering shortcutting the second Quick Ball, but also I think what he's doing is taking stock of his prizes. I know that Sam is a very meticulous player and someone that really really believes in kind of, making sure that you are mapping your prizes from turn 1. Obviously trying to do it very quickly, very efficiently, but I know that he's a very, Sam Chen is not the type of person that's going to mess that up, or not think it's important. So we do see the second Quick Ball there. Looks like Water Energy was a discard here. First one got a Sobble. I think what the next one gets is a little more of a question, just depending on what else is in Sam's hand and how he wants to kind of map out the rest of these turns.
Eyeing up maybe a potential Sobble as well. I have to assume the Beedrill Importance, cannot stress that enough, is such a key card in this matchup. You really got to be looking at it to get that out the following turn, and it is very easy to get out, or a lot easier rather, when you are able to utilize that Starbirth V-Star power to get the cards exactly needed to hand. And I think there's already an Ultra Ball in hand as well, so it could be even easier. We know that Sam had the Water Energy, opted to discard it, understands that I'm most likely just going to try to use Beedrill off the start here.
He also has that Training Court there, so that the Water discard was basically free there. Looks like he's going to go ahead and attach, and I think just pass the turn back.
Yeah, very solid turn. Everything you're looking for on that first turn playing Arceus, as things are going to kick off for Grant. Looks like eyeing up multiple cards. Always feels good to start off with a Chromatic and test your luck, but look at that, Battle VIP Pass, the best card to play on the first turn.
Yeah, the kind of a high-risk card, or at least a very narrow card. You can only play it during your first turn, so whether you go first or second, just your very first turn. But for decks like this, just an incredibly powerful tool, especially when you consider, as we saw many, many times when we featured Azul playing Mew VMAX, after turn 1, those Battle VIP passes do a really good job of being discarded to Chromatic. Speaking of which, we do see a Chromatic heads here. It looks like, was it Echoing Horn getting discarded?
I believe so. Echoing Horn going to hit the discard pile, and Wow, looks like this is the play I was talking about, where you trying to get Melodious Echo turn 1, has the Lesser Sparkle in hand already, has the Fusion Strike energy grabbed off the Cramomatic, and Quick Ball will be able to find even more Genesect or Pokemon to put this Fusion Strike energy onto. And there's the Genesect. All Grant is missing is one of those pivoting options, and it looks like in this list is opting for 2-switch, 2-rope. It looks like sort of the evened amount that we've been seeing in these lists. Azul was playing that count as well, as we saw earlier.
Yeah, I think that's, you need a lot of those pivoting options, and I think it's, you know, you have the, like, Escape Rope has a little bit more utility, but can also just hurt as much as it helps sometimes. I think we've seen most players kind of settle on just a split.
Absolutely, and it feels even better to be taking a knockout with a one-prize Pokemon. Fusion Strike energy already in hand, just needs a damage modifier and a way to pivot this Genesect out. Already off to a great start, not even using any Fusion Strike systems
I was
yet.
just gonna say, yeah, we're gonna start seeing the cards flow here. For only 4 Fusion Strike Pokemon in play right now, but it looks like it's gonna have 1 card in hand after that attachment. So here's the first one.
Yeah, very nice to have Cramomatic already in hand. Ultra Ball as well could decide to just go ahead and grab another Genesect. I like that play a lot. It's a very good line. You want to keep drawing, you keep the Cramomatic in hand. You don't really need all your Lesser Sparkle this game. You can afford to get rid of 1 more. At this point, it's very likely your Meloetta is knocked out by even something like a Beedrill on the following turn. You have to take care of this threat. 280 damage. Respecting that, you need to respect it. There's no way you can just allow this Meloetta to keep firing off attacks for that much damage.
Absolutely, and I really like the Ultra Ball play. It kind of, I mean, basically puts you in the same position, puts Grant in the same position as before, where he's going to use Fusion Strike system with a Chromatic in hand, drawing even more cards this time. Really, really important and really, really good from Grant's side to be able to keep that Chromatic in hand. But yeah, this is, you know, this is how the Mew deck does things. We're gonna see 4 more cards. It's a second Fusion Strike system. We could, you know, we're gonna see some more plays after that, including maybe that Chromatic, and then we have another Fusion Strike system. There is the damage modifier, and but we do not see a way, like a switch or a way to pivot out.
Yeah, interestingly enough, has the Battle VIP Pass to potentially utilize that to grab the last Pokemon. It feels really good to play that on your first turn, but there's no other really good card to grab off of Cramomatic. Could still use another Fusion Strike system, and I like this play a lot. Hold the Cramomatic, you're most likely going to draw into another item card, and if it's the item card you're looking for to switch, then voila, you kind of just find what you need.
Another Mew V hits the board here, so not adding to the Fusion Strike system, or not another instance of Fusion Strike system, but adding 1 more card to draw here. So we got to, I mean, I got to imagine that just with, you know, how many cards Grant's drawn and how thin the deck is getting, this he's got to be able to hit one of his switch here.
Yeah, can utilize the Rose Tower to draw a single card, so just maximizing the draw options. Ooh, Psychic Energies. Not what you want to see. Means you're only going to be drawing 3 cards off of this last Fusion Strike system. It's going to be a big 3 cards. Hey! It's just flipping the dice over, but it looks like there is the Power Tablets. This is the flip here. It's a heads.
Wow.
Wow.
All right, you can see Sam's reaction there. It's just okay. I know this is important. There's the switch. My favorite art of switch, actually, Heart Gold switch. Very, very classy of Grant, and you know, just slams it right in the discard pile. Both players know what's going on. Both players know how important that flip was, how important this switch is, and this is going to be an amazing turn 1 from Grant.
I'm more of a platinum guy myself, but I definitely am still a fan of the Heart Gold
Fair.
switch.
As long as it's more than 5 years old, I'll allow it. So it's 2 prizes for Grant. First knockout of the game.
Ooh, looks like finds an Arceus V-Star off the top. That could lead to some potential plays, but you need to take care of this Meloetta somehow. Looking over at the list here for Sam, no copies of something like Melanie, but there is something like a Raihan potentially, and that could allow this Arceus to get powered up right away. Take care of this Meloetta and save that persisting attack for a bigger 3-prize Pokemon.
And it looks like Sam was considering what to do there exactly. He has an Ultra Ball in hand, so there's a world where you Ultra Ball your cards away for something maybe the Drizzle or something. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Starburst is just a powerful card, so powerful ability, so We do see the Arceus V-Star. We do see the choice belt to allow him to draw another couple cards off of. Oh, wow! And he drew the combo.
He drew the combo off the Rose Tower. So that one of those instances where you say, thank you for that stadium. I'm definitely going to use this. We even saw it bail all the way in the first round. It bailed Mike Morden out of the first round and able to find the cards to get off of Ultra Ball. So it is definitely helping both players out in this match. Grant just drew one card. Found Sam everything needed as we are going to see the Raihan get played, accelerating a basic energy out of the discard pile to any one of your Pokemon, and as well grabbing any card out of the deck you like. Such a powerful revenge mechanic card. Yeah,
it's just so huge. I mean, Sam could have done this same play by using Starbirth, but that Starbirth is such a powerful effect. So powerful they made it so you can only do it once per game, and so just being able to do it for more or less free off of Grant's Rose Tower is just huge. It's just going to allow. It turned this turn into like, okay, well, this is exactly what I'm doing, and I'm getting this knockout, which is great, but that's kind of my whole turn into, well, now I just have this Starbirth still left over after this. It looks like the Raihan did touch that water from the discard pile, and then it looks like it's getting Sobble from the deck. A lot of consideration about that choice. When you have the ability to search your deck for any card, it can take a while. You got to think through all the permutations, but it looks like he has settled on Sobble.
Yeah, maybe by holding that choice belt, the Ultra Ball is the only unthinnable card in the hand right now. You could potentially put together a piece to get Beedrill out. It's usually the easiest to do that when you are using your V-Star power to make sure you have the perfect piece necessary to get down to 0 cards in hand. So we are going to see the double Turbo Energy get accelerated. I'm sure we will see Starbirth get used as well as, oh wow, actually no, not going to utilize Starbirth. Very interesting, deciding to just attack for now, prioritize cards later on. And this is also smart because you're going to get a card off the prizes and you're going to get a card off the top of the deck, which means you'll have guaranteed 2 cards to discard next turn with that Ultra Ball.
Yeah, we've seen this a lot kind of as these Arceus decks continue to get iterated on. It's kind of the holding the Starbirth. And I think it makes a lot of sense just to kind of give yourself more information. Like, okay, let's see these prize cards. Let's see the top of the deck. Let's see what's going on before I decide exactly what to do with my ability.
And that's so smart as well, because even in the worst case scenario where this Arceus gets knocked out, think about it. You're going to be at 3 cards in hand to start the turn. You start by drawing. You Ultra Ball away. Drizzile can guarantee get the Mustard next turn and have 0 cards in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam is... there's the Pokemon catcher.
Which one?
Sam asking which one. In addition to being, one of the top players in the world, Sam is, quite the jokester, quite a lot of table talk coming from Sam Chen. So it's, why he's one of the most beloved players in the game.
You gotta love the sportsmanship. You gotta love the jokes here, especially at the high stakes. These players are having fun. They're having a good time, and that's what Pokemon is all about.
Absolutely. I think we spent a lot of time on the broadcast talking about the importance of these events and, how long they could be and how many wins you need to stack up and all these things. But I think it's really important to kind of pull back and realize, hey, these players are, playing for a lot. They're excellent players. They both really want to win. They've both been in high leverage positions before. And, hey, they're still joking around. They're still having fun. Like you said, that's exactly what Pokemon's all about. And these two players are taking a great example of that. And the Pokemon catcher didn't... Pokemon catcher did hit, but then Grant decided, you know what? I actually want that Arceus back up.
We're going to see the first Fusion Strike system. Psychic Energy being played down for the turn. That beautiful Heart Gold Soul Silver art. Play Pokemon Energy. I love some Heart Gold Soul Silver cards. You got Espeon on it too. Look at that. But filling the hand up, but you got to be looking for 2 pieces here. You got to be looking for 3 damage modifiers. 2 actually now because the double turbo is not on. Oh no, you still do need 3. Correct. So 210. You're going to need to deal 90 more damage to take this knockout. And then from there, you also, importantly, need to find your Mew VMAX to deal some damage and attack.
You see Sam looking at this card pile saying Pokemon Catcher and Boss, just kind of taking full stock of the list there. As we see this Rotom Phone card get put on top. It's going straight into the hand. It's the only card going in the hand off of the Fusion Strike system there. Is a Mew VMAX, another Rotom Phone.
I don't believe any power tablets have been played yet. Does find 1 so far, but we'll still need to find 2 more damage modifiers, as 2 will be just short at 270 damage. So we'll need to be able to piece that together. Has already used 2 Fusion Strike system, 4 Genesects in play. Going to be using the maximum amount this turn. Going to be drawing so many cards through the deck.
Yeah, I mean, we sound like a broken record sometimes talking about this sort of stuff, but the Fusion Strike system is just so strong, just the fact that you can do it multiple times a turn. The fact that your deck is built in such a way that you can thin your hand out and just really really kind of, we've seen players start, Fusion Strike up to 6 cards and then be able to Fusion Strike 4 more cards or 5 more cards just a little bit later.
Absolutely, it does everything. It has the ability. Techno Blast is a beautiful attack to deal tons of damage. It is strong indeed, as it looks like. Just checking through on things to make sure everyone is on the same page. We've got 3 Fusion Strike systems used so far. Looks like we're having a slight judge discrepancy, maybe an extra card drawn. We'll have to double check on this.
I didn't.
Hopefully we get some confirmation about what this looks like, but it looks like things are all resolved, so things will continue as normal with the 3rd Fusion Strike system. It's always important to make sure players are on the same page, following the rules, and it looks like Sam is actually just going to uphold. I think there was a potential for him to take a penalty there, but Sam being it looks like a good sport about things. I don't have confirmation on it, but I think I heard him say I'll uphold or I won't worry anything. But looks like we are on the. Yeah, I think Sam also taken aback that there are 4 Genesects, and wow, did not find the 3rd damage modifier that was needed to take this knockout. Just short of being able to take a knockout on this Arceus. Now this is going to open the floodgates up for Sam to potentially put something together. But just coming so short means now you're essentially doing the same thing as playing no damage modifiers. You're still going to be knocking out this Arceus in 2 hits.
Yeah, exactly. It really does, cost you to have used 1 or 2. Obviously, it's the right play from Grant there. He needs to open up the Fusion Strike System cards. He needs to hope to draw the, another tablet or the belt or something. But really unfortunate set of circumstances there for Grant. He is just 10 short of the KO.
Yeah, and that play is now open and online for Sam. Just checking through. All 4 power tablets are in the discard pile, so no more damage modifiers left for Sam.
Oh, so he was just down to the belt then.
Yeah, and look at that. Perfect cards to go ahead and get rid of. Eyeing up potentially benching this Arceus. You do know that you still have 1 more prized, so you could just decide to start Birth now to set yourself up with the pieces necessary. There are a lot of options for sure. But also Rose Tower works as well to fill this hand back up.
Making it clear. I really like Sam's kind of use of the dice here to indicate what's, when Road Tower has been used, when the Genesects have been used. I think, you see a lot of players kind of indicating, turning their Genesect sideways or indicating otherwise that they've used their own Genesects. But I think from the opponent's perspective, it's really good management to kind of do that on your own too, with, regardless of what your opponent's doing. So keeping things clear, keeping things fair is very, very important. As we see that Ultra Ball does empty the hand. Looks like it's going to find a Drizzile.
And here we have the Single Strike Mustard being eyed up. We may be seeing this Beedrill come out into play. This is getting excited.
Yeah, this is the reason why these players have chosen, of all the Arceus variants they could play, they've chosen to play this Beedrill Single Strike Mustard variant. Just very, very strong, as you've been talking about most of this game. Just when you can control, when you have all these discard outlets, when you have things like Starbirth, you can just control exactly how many cards in your hand should you dealings as well, of course. And we are going to see, as you see on your screen now, this Beedrill is a extremely powerful, but also extremely narrow card. It just happens to line up in such a way that it is very good versus most of the standard format.
And this is incredible. Sam hasn't even used his V-Star power yet. Still has access to that. We usually see it used so early, but could potentially even hold on to it for later to maybe grab a finishing piece that's needed. This is an excellent spot. Sam really showing us that you can be patient with this deck. You don't have to play as aggressive to try to get the turn 1 combo and take knockouts. You can take other routes on other lines, as it looks like we will see the Beedrill grabbed off of the Single Strike Mustard. Getting any Single Strike Pokemon from your deck onto your bench does not specify the stage of evolution at all, or if it's a basic Pokemon. And in addition, you get to fill your hand up to 5 cards.
And you know what we just saw there, right, was one of the few downsides of moving back to kind of the IRL tournament era is the broken sleeve. It's you don't have that happen online. So looks like we do have that Beedrill in play. We did draw the Grass Energy as well. So a perfect set of draws here for Sam.
Yeah, and if I'm Grant, I may consider trying to just go into the second game at this point. You really don't want to force another tie to put yourself on a position where you need to pretty much win the next two to put yourself in good contention for day two. Your opponent's about to go down to one prize card. You've got, I guess you have a few cards to come back. You have one copy of Marnie, but at this point, there's two Pokemon that can evolve into key evolution lines. And also, Arceus V-Star could just guaranteed grab the Gusting effect for the following turn.
Yeah, I think I want to say Grant's Morning's in the discard pile. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, I mean it's got to be a tough spot to be in now. Three Fusion Strike energy are gone. This Beedrill's obviously single prize, but this huge threat. You still have Sam still has Starbirth on his side as well, so looks like Grant is going to play out this turn. Still chances things could happen. Deciding that. He can play fast enough not to have to concede this game, but Sam is obviously very, very far ahead.
Yeah, Choice Belt means that a Genesect will be knocked out even if something like an Oricorio comes down into play. It is dealing 230 damage with that Choice Belt. Grant not playing any way to disrupt tool cards in this deck. Straight consistency, straight just trying to get through the deck as fast as possible, deal damage, as we are going to see the Pokemon Catcher fail the coin flip, flipping tails, so no effect. And this is kind of where this deck is going to draw through. But again, you're just kind of burning time off the clock when all Sam needs to do is just announce V-Star, Starbirth power for Training Court and Boss's orders, and the game is pretty much over.
And there's the Training Court itself,
Mm-hmm.
letting the hand down to open up some room for more Fusion Strike system cards.
Yeah, the only reason I would think Grant would continue to play this out is if there's like maybe a Boss's Order or something in Sam's discard pile already. Trying to look through and see if I do see the Marnie in there. I don't think the Marnie is quite a discard pile. Have to imagine that's the out you're looking for. Oricorio does come down, so Genesect essentially having 210 health points, HP remaining. Still in range for Trinity Nova knockout. And if you leave the Beedrill, well, you know what Beedrill does. It persists, it stings, and it stings.
Yeah, it's a really tough spot to be in here if you're Grant, but he is going to continue on the full set of Fusion Strike Pokemon, so 6 cards of the hand, 4 new ones.
Absolutely.
Digging, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough.
It can bring the energy back with Training Courts to potentially pitch it with something like an Ultra Ball, but it looks like we're just going to see the Techno Blast take the knockout. Sam's got the V-Star power still. Promoting that Arceus V-Star up into play. I have to assume the pieces are there to be able to close things out, as we are also seeing the evolution in sense that can just straight up grab the pieces in order to get there. So we're just doing math here. Looks like just making sure everything is correct. 230 minus the Oricorio, still 210 damage. We'll see this go ahead and grab the Shady Dealings Inteleon or the Drizzile just for the Boss's orders in the Training Court. We'll be able to bring the Grass Energy back. Sam Chen will go ahead and take game number 1 in this set. 20-minute game number 1. Pretty dominating fashion. Beedrill taking a big 3-prize turn there. Has to be the MVP of that game number 1 for Sam.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is exactly, again, these players, are well versed and can play any of the Arceus variants they want, and it really means something. I think if you're playing like let's just say the basic kind of Arceus Inteleon or Arceus Bibarel decks, I think you're making much less of a statement than if you're playing the Beedrill version. I think playing the Beedrill version is saying, okay, I'm omitting these other cards from my deck. I'm playing Grass Energy in my deck because I think that this specific combination of cards with the Mustard and the Beedrill is so important to the format. And the card, you're playing a card that, this is a weird way to think about it, but you're playing a card that is worse than a lot of your other options, right? The Beedrill's a lot more narrow, but if you get the right pairings, it's just, as you saw, it just comes into play, draws you 5 cards for 1 energy, gets a single prize Pokemon, and knocks out anything.
High risk, high reward, dare I say, at this point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it provides a lot of value and a lot of matchups. And so an interesting thing I learned today is it does have a second attack that deals 110 damage. And there's some Pokemon in the format like Galarian Moltres V that are weak to grass. That's perfect math to take a knockout too. Rahul was telling me he was taking some knockouts at that attack.
Yeah, it's another thing, that you'll see kind of the difference between the top players and just maybe an Sobble Drizzile prize.
Yeah, so looks like Sobble Drizzile. They are at the bottom of the prize cards, so they will be taken most likely towards the beginning of the game. Is going to also have a mulligan card at minimum. Taking a look at the hand here. This is actually be very helpful with how poor Sam's hand is. It's going to get 2 additional cards plus the top deck to start things off when he begins his turn after Grant starts things off.
Yeah, absolutely. So two mulligans for Grant there. Currently, Sam, as we were talking about, currently Sam's hand isn't really doing much. I think there's a mustard and a bunch of energy in it, basically. Obviously, you know, he's going to see 3 fresh cards. It'll hopefully change that. But, you know, mulligans are not really something I feel like you really factor into, like, playtesting or anything like that. They don't come up a whole lot, but they can definitely be extremely relevant at times, especially when they start to come in multiples, at which case you just feel so defeated if, you know, your opponent's drawing all these extra cards.
Absolutely, it also kills time off the clock as well, which can be a big deal, especially if this goes to a 3rd game. I know we've seen a bunch of ties. This hand is looking very good if there's a basic. There is!
And there is.
Double VIP pass in this hand. Wow.
Yeah, these are the type of hands that you play the Mew deck for. And let's see.
Oh, a Rhyhorn and an air balloon off those 2 mulligans. And 2 Fusion Strike energy in the prize cards. Oh no!
And the Meloetta and the Lisa Sparkle. Wow, that's we've seen the Mew players have consistently bad prizes during this tournament, at least the ones playing on stream.
Ready to kick things out into game number 2 between Grant Shen and Sam Chen. And look at that, 2 Battle VIP pass kicking things off right away. That's 4 basic Pokemon down into play on the first turn of the game. Just 2 item cards.
Yeah, just being played at the exact same time for Pokemon, and you know, in a lot of decks. I mean, you want to play your Pokemon, especially when you have an evolution type deck. But in this deck, it's more just about, I want to get as many Pokemon in play for Fusion Strike system as possible. And like look, this is the quick balls coming, so we're going to just see the full bench here on Grant's very first turn.
This is ridiculous. All these Pokemon into play so quickly. Grant finding all the pieces necessary. I mean, it's kind of a reward, right? If you mulligan 2 or 3 times, you'd hope to have a good start. That's always the worst feeling when you mulligan, you finally get a basic in your hand, and your hand feels so poor. It's kind of what's hand's looking like for Sam, unfortunately, right now.
So we do see a little bit more consideration taken to this quick ball. Grant kind of trying to map out his prizes there before deciding to take, I think, what is kind of the standard choice in Genesect V, opening himself up to having 3 Fusion Strike system abilities this turn.
Yeah, absolutely.
1 Meloetta, the other one is prize, of course, and then the two Mews. So plenty of attacker options, plenty of draw options, and with the, you know, except for the unfortunate state of the prizes here, Grant is having just a really, really explosive turn 1.
We do see the Fusion Strike energy being played down. That's got to factor in your prizes of having 2 Fusion Strike energy prize. You understand Meloetta is not a viable attacking option. Not the best cards, though, off of that Fusion Strike system. Looks like 2 Power Tablet, Echoing Horn, Boss's Orders in hand. And is going to have to just play this quick ball. Understands Oricorio, not very relevant in this matchup specifically. I'm going to go ahead and just try to draw 2 more cards off this Fusion Strike system. Hopefully find some more pieces to get set up for the following turn.
Yeah, it's one of the good things about having a deck that's so focused around kind of discarding cards and thinning your hand out is that you can afford to play things like Oricorio, which can be very, very impactful and is a very good card, but also when you don't need it, it's just, well, whatever. It's just discard fodder for later.
And there we do see the Ultra Ball could be a good piece for next turn. I feel like there's some pieces you'd like to hold on to until the following turn. And yeah, very smart choice there from Grant. Just going to go ahead and pass things over. Big top deck. Oh my goodness. 3 double turbo energy. Has to just attach to this Arceus. You can play the big charm, or my bad, you can play, probably wishing it was a big charm at this point.
Yeah.
You put the choice spell onto it, and then what do you even do from there at this point? I mean, you could just Trinity Charge, but at this point, the pieces are almost all there for Grant. Has double damage modifier, which would negate it doesn't even matter with double turbo energy, you just need 1 damage modifier. Grant is so close to being able to find these pieces. Even finds the Mew VMAX off the top of the deck.
Wow.
Can draw 6 cards with this Fusion Strike system. Doesn't need to play Boss's Orders either. The doors are going to open up. And you even say, Sam, is just going to go ahead and accelerate his energies on in case Grant, for some reason, is unable to find the energy. There are 2 energy prized, so there is less of a chance to find it, unless a Sparkle is also still an option, though. So that is something to note.
Yeah, definitely. You see Sam still, kind of finished with the attack, but still just checking through his deck for prizes. Both these players realize how important time is in this matchup and at this stage in the tournament. So just kind of shortcutting here, but it is Grant's turn. We see two Mew VMAX hit the board. Double power tablet, and you got to imagine that we're going to see a way to end the game here from Grant with all these Fusion Strike systems.
I think we're flipping here. Looks like can just play double Chromatic and thin the entire hand out, except for one more piece. There's the heads. Can go ahead and find the energy. As long as they see it. Yep, there's psychic energy. Gonna go ahead and fist bump. We're going to game number 3 here. 20 minutes left in this round. And Sam just unable to find anything, especially even with 2 mulligans. We're going to game number 3, Kenny. This is going to be an exciting series.
Yeah, wow. So, we saw that kind of not super long, but definitely kind of a slog of a game in game 1. Sam took down the victory there. And then even after the double mulligan, just had, nothing going on, especially versus the Mew deck, especially if the Mew's going first. You just don't have, you often don't have a turn. You don't have 2 turns. You just can't leave stuff out in the active there. And, we saw that the Chromatic was favorable for Grant there. But even if those Chromatics has missed, I think he had another 2 Fusion Strike systems, bunch of cards to draw. Like, it's just so likely that you're going to lose if you're Sam there. Unfortunate way to go out, but I think the silver lining of it is that you still have 20 minutes, so you still have plenty of time to finish a game, especially if you average these 2 out. So hopefully we will not see a repeat of what we've seen on stream a few different times, and we will see the full match and a full winner be declared here.
Absolutely. Players shuffling up here for game number 3. We've seen how both of these decks can function, with the V-Drill being able to persisting take knockouts, and with Grant being able to just set up the board and draw tens and tens of cards even on a single turn. That could be a very big deal, but we're ready to get into things. Players shuffling up, finishing up what they've got to do. We've got plenty of time to play another game of Pokemon here, Kenny.
Yeah, I think, do you think that there's any, obviously you're just going to have some bad hands at times. Things aren't going to work out. It's Pokemon, there's variants, but I mean, do you think that the V-Drill variant of Arceus is particularly, that happens more with that variant? We saw that Mustard in hand, and I just can't help but think, what if that Mustard was a different supporter, right? What if that was something else? Obviously, it's not to say that, you shouldn't be playing the V-Drill, or, it was huge in game 1, it's been great throughout this tournament, but I think that is maybe one of the costs that you're paying by playing a more kind of restrictive, specialized list like this.
I feel like with whatever variant you're playing, you're going to have trade-offs in deck space. If it's for this variant, you're going to have something like the you're going to have something like the V-Drill line and the Mustard in. If you're playing the Birds version, you're going to have some other pieces in here. Prize cards are pretty big. We see a single copy of the V-Drill and a single copy of that single strike Mustard prize. So if you have to open with one of those in hand, that could be a pretty big deal. Over on Grant's side, 2 power tablets prize. Damage modifiers are a big deal, but this hand is looking a lot better. Has Capture Energy, has Ultra Ball, but at this point, you have to really just kind of imagine, do I try to Ultra Ball and get this Arceus into play? What do I really do with this hand? The problem is there's no follow-up after this Ultra Ball this turn.
There's a lot of different options here. You can see Sam kind of thinking about this. This is a thing you'll see players do a lot, which is like, okay, what would my hand look like if I discarded these cards with Ultra Ball? Okay, well, what about these ones? And you can kind of just see him running through the permutations here. Also has that energy search, that capture energy, as you said. And I think this is one of the beautiful things about Pokemon is look how many decisions Sam has to make this turn. Most of them, or I should say most of them, a lot of the time the decisions will be kind of simple, or they'll be, kind of straightforward, like, oh, I'm going to play my energy search to get energy. But a lot of the time, you are just faced with so many different decisions on what to do each and every turn, and especially 6 rounds and, I don't know how many hours into a tournament, that can definitely weigh on you.
100%. As you go through, you get more tired. You got to play more games. You've been thinking hard about your matches before. It's definitely a big deal. But starting things out with the energy search, so we'll be able to pitch an energy, or rather, play an energy into the hand, place it into the hand. A lot of P words working with everything, but does have Capture Energy to find another Pokemon. This is kind of where you have to make a sacrifice. Do you value consistency the following turn, or do you really risk it? I think if you play down maybe the Training Court in hand, Grant's really going to try to draw a lot of cards. The only other stadium in this deck besides the Training Court is that Rose Tower, and Rose Tower would be pretty beneficial for Sam with the hand that he's got going. You got to imagine if it's there, it's going to get bumped or played down anyways.
Yeah, definitely. So again, Sam is just kind of trying to determine his prizes here. It looks like the Grass Energy is going to be the choice here from the energy search. taking some time to consider it exactly, you know, what the decision is to be, and then of course what the prizes are. So that grass energy is going to be the choice. It's going to go to the hand. Looks like we're going to see a capture energy this turn. We also have the Ultra Ball that Sam was eyeing up. So here's the capture.
Yeah, you really want to be getting this energy down on your first turn to take either a 2-prize or 1-prize knockout to start things off to make the math easy to line up your prize as well. But this will still work. It's a lot better of a start here for Sam than game number 2. So you got to be thinking, I'll take it at the worst.
The capture energy does find the Arceus. That makes a lot of sense from Sam's perspective. And I love capture energy. I think there was a time where when it was first printed, it wasn't played as much. It just like kind of didn't fit into the format. It was a little underplayed, and I love seeing a card like that that's just so consistent, very reminiscent of something like Call Energy, but a lot more powerful in some ways. Really cool card. And Sam, again, Arceus is the choice, but just going to go ahead and make sure he knows exactly what's prized, exactly what's left in his deck before shuffling up.
Yeah, it works perfect in this Arceus V deck because of the fact that it is a colorless attacker. It can utilize that colorless energy requirement, and keep calling also being colorless energy is so important. I can't stress enough how different of value of this attack would be if keep calling was a water energy, so to say, instead of a colorless energy. It's the reason that so many of these engines can effectively play the Sobble from Chilling Reign and just get all these Sobbles into play.
Oh yeah, it would absolutely just change the way the whole format works, really. I mean, you'd be if you're playing Inteleon, you'd be forced to play not even just incidental water energy. You'd have to play a lot of water energy to kind of guarantee it, or you'd have to lessen your reliance on keep calling. So yeah, that's just one of the great powerful things about this engine here. So we see Sam, no Ultra Ball, just play the training court and pass.
Wow, Battle VIP pass to kick things off. Right, again, we'll have to see if Grant's got 2 this time as well. But already see the Fusion Strike energy in hand, so that's exactly why we see Meloetta get grabbed at the top of the deck. Wants to get that down right away, find the Lesser Sparkle, and Escape Rope plus a damage modifier would be a big swing here for Grant. We'll see if that's already in hand. Has the... Looks like the Fusion Strike energy and by Pokemon Catcher, I think I see there, as well as a Cramomatic, so a lot of options to work with.
Yeah, so it looks like Genesect and Meloetta are the choices off that Battle VIP pass. And like you said, this knockout is really important here. It's a huge difference between getting to use Keep Calling and not, or even just having, even if you don't want to use Keep Calling, just having a Sobble in play or not is huge for these decks. So sounds kind of silly, you always want to take knockouts in the Pokemon trading card game, but Sobble in particular is just such an important Pokemon to just have existing on your side of the board.
Ooh, it looks like we will see the Fusion Strike energy be playing that Meloetta. You have one of them in hand as well. I don't believe we saw any of them in the prize cards. Yep, 0 in the prize cards. Only that double turbo energy, but you're not going to be drawing a lot off of this. You can utilize that Chromatic right now to maybe find the Alessa Sparkle, but if this flips tails, oh wow,
okay.
Big head flip. So you have to imagine this is probably going to grab the Alessa Sparkle as we see it get grabbed right away. But now the piece comes to, here's your situation you're in. At worst, and this is still, to put that in perspective, you're taking a prize this turn, you're knocking the Sobble out. Nothing to complain about, you're dealing 210 damage on the first turn of the game. But at best, you can knock out this Arceus and put yourself in a position where a lot of things could go wrong. The thing that could be very scary is if you knock this Sobble out, Raihan is active, and we see that Sam has a way to discard this grass energy. Raihan only able to accelerate basic energy out of this card pile. You can't even use the effect to search a card out if you don't accelerate an energy.
Yeah, definitely. So we do see, you're absolutely right, Cramomatic finds Alessa Sparkle, 2 energy, hit the board, and that's a really good way, Ethan, to describe kind of the best turns of the UV Max deck is, well, at worst, you're taking a prize. Now, you could take a prize on the V, on the 2 prizes are in play, and kind of eliminate Sam's options for next turn, but at the best, you are taking a prize.
Absolutely. Looks like only filling up to 4. And this is where going for this priority to get your pieces for Alessa Sparkle means you have less Pokemon in play, you're drawing less cards, and there's nothing else that can be played. And this could be a big swing here, exactly how the game started right away. We see the Sobble get flipped over. It's going all over the place, flip-flopping all over the board. But this is what you want to see if you're Sam. You have the play for Raihan. We know Raihan is not in the prize cards, as the top deck for turn is also a quick ball. This opens up the potential, I believe, almost every card here can be thinned out. We could see a Raihan and potentially a setup the following turn to either utilize this Arceus to accelerate energy onto itself, to potentially get a Beedrill to play. There's a lot of options here for Sam to work with.
Yeah, we're going to lead things off with an Ultra Ball, discarding that grass energy, kind of a free card to discard with that training court and the Scoop Up Net, it looks like.
Yeah, it does have Scoop Net.
We got to imagine that we're going to see the Arceus V-Star come down here. It looks like he's already eyeing up that Raihan. You're absolutely right, Ethan. Just kind of considering what to do with the star birth here.
Yeah, there's a lot of lines to take. You have to imagine you need to attack and remove this Meloetta out of play. So looks like just some friendly banter between both these players, just chatting it up. I like to see everyone having fun and enjoying themselves. Regional events are such a fun event to come spectate, to come watch, and of course, when you're playing in fierce competition, there's really nothing else like it.
Absolutely. When you see a testament to how important that Sobble is, it's getting found off the Starbirth here. I even think that Sam has a oh yeah, okay. I think Sam even has a quick ball in hand, but he's just saying, okay, I think it's so important for me to have Sobbles in play that I'm willing to use my, one of my computer search effect cards on this. Obviously, the Raihan is kind of the obvious choice there, but looks like we might see a switch up actually, which is a testament to how complicated Starbirth can be and how powerful of an effect it is. We might end up seeing the double turbo, but nope, he has decided on the Sobble and the Raihan.
Yeah, if double turbo is not grabbed off of this, it will be the card that's grabbed off of the
Right.
Raihan, so.
Sam does get a search deck for any card again, which is exactly what happens.
Yeah, I feel like you have to grab the Sobble down. I guess there is a world where technically you could have grabbed maybe something like the Big Charm. We saw how close Grant was to potentially swinging that game. If there was an extra damage modifier, Big Charm does require one more damage modifier, but at worst, Quick Ball can go ahead and grab another Pokemon out of the deck, like another Sobble to make things easier to string the attack, or even another Arceus to power up so you can keep swinging the following turn, and that is exactly what Sam is going to go ahead and opt to grab.
So now we're going to, looks like after that double turbo gets attached, we're just going to take a knockout here and kind of have a board of 2 Arceus, a Sobble, and hopefully some things to do over the next turn.
Absolutely. Looks like eyeing up the water energy, the grass energy, and the grass energy to power up this bench Arceus. And this is going to be a big turn for Grant. The ability that Fusion Strike energy is already on the Mew can make things tricky. We'll see what this Chromatic is. That's a big Tails miss. That could set up some math to find the damage modifier pieces needed, especially because there's only 3 Pokemon in play. This Fusion Strike system is only going to draw 2. Actually going to go ahead and opt to Boss's Orders up the Arceus V. I like this line. You could take 2 prize cards, push yourself down to 3, and pretty much force your opponent to have the outs to B-drill. Otherwise, you're in an excellent spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Just saying, okay, I'm going to play this boss. I need to draw as many cards to this Fusion Strike system as possible, and let's see what happens here.
Yeah, big prize off there. Drew the research off the prizes for Sam as well, so you got to keep that into consideration. Wow, what a 2 cards!
This is what happens, Fusion Strike system, and we do need a damage modifier of some sort.
Yes, it looks like we'll draw up to 5, so 1 more card. Not quite, but that's just the first Fusion Strike system. We see Ultra Ball, Quick Ball, plenty of ways to thin through the deck. And what a great target to get rid of than Battle VIP Pass, a card that cannot be played from the hand anymore.
Absolutely. Just if there's any card that is just discard fodder at this point, it is that Battle VIP Pass. Gets the Mew, and then the Mew also becomes discard fodder, just saying, I need to draw as many cards as possible off of Fusion Strike system. I only have 1 left. I'm failing the Ultra Ball, so this is going to be a big series of cards drawn here. A very important series of cards.
I wonder what that last card in hand is, to not grab another Fusion Strike Pokemon to draw an extra card. So it's an interesting choice.
It could just be another Genesect as well. I didn't quite get it.
I believe that's Boss's Orders, I think, is the last card in hand. Oh, no, it is another Genesect. Wow.
All right, so here is these cards. We do have the Chromatic, but no other real. Well, I guess it kind of depends on what Grant wants to do. Looks like he's eyeing up that Chromatic, discarding that Escape Rope.
Yeah, this is another big flip. We'll see what this is. Oh,
another Tails. Wow.
Wow, and it looks like has a few cards to still play out. Can play a Switch, has a Quick Ball in hand. But still needs to find these damage pieces. And this is where prizing 2 power tablets can be a big deal on this turn to find these damage modifiers.
Absolutely. I might be mistaken. I don't know how many power tablets are in the discard pile, but we definitely have those 2 prized. So it's going to be a very big deal here, as I believe 2 cards remain in the hand of Grant. And we have only one more Fusion Strike system available.
Yeah, looks like the Switch is there as well, so we can see the Switch into the Mew. Has Free Retreat can go back in. This is going to be a big 5 cards off this Fusion Strike system. What do we see? finds the power tablet, finds the last two of them as well.
Yeah, finds actually the 2 remaining. So, all right, this play actually worked out for Grant here, and just, that's the power of Fusion Strike system. He's right back in the game.
They can even play a Chromatic. Time is slowly winding down, just under 7 minutes remaining. You have to imagine this match is most likely to get close to finishing, especially with +3 turns. These decks want to move quickly, especially Mew, now that it is set up.
Yeah, I think you'll probably start seeing in the future turns, I think both players, but especially Grant, just playing a little bit faster, just kind of saying, well, I kind of did the thing I was trying to do. Obviously, there's just a lot of actions to take every turn with Mew, but I think from now on, from this point on, the game gets a little bit more simple, maybe from Grant's perspective. So there's a knockout. That's 2 more prizes for Grant, 3 remaining. Looks like one of those power tablets is going to be put in hand too, so he will have the double damage modifier if he wants it next turn.
Yeah, this is where things get tough, though. You've got to imagine this Arceus wants to find a way to get out. Looks like the draw for turn could be big. What is it? Quick ball, but there's nothing like Luminion in this deck to guarantee a supporter out of the deck that would have been able to get the Beedrill out, but opting to just go for the plain line. Only the Pokemon in this deck are that Arceus line.
Looks like Air Balloon and Professor's Research are the other cards in hand, so can do some things this turn, but it's going to be really not the ideal situation for Sam by any means.
Yeah, and kind of using Training Court as that propagation to sort of
Yes.
put that card back in, similar to that. It's like a mini Execute from from Plasma Blast, but Plasma Freeze, excuse me. I'll make sure I get my sets right. I know I said the wrong Energy Search last time. I said it was the base set, or not. The Energy Search was from base set, not Fossil. But
I think
I'm learning.
I think it's a lot more. I think it's okay if the cards came out before you were born.
You think I get a pass right at that point?
All right, we do see that second Sobble hit the board off of the Quick Ball. And then we just got the Air Balloon. Sam considering attaching. I think the Big Charm is still a play. Yeah, still a consideration there.
I like the Sobbles are spread out all the way on the board. It's going to be a big 7 cards. Do we see an access to Drizzile? 5 cards, 2 more. Nice. All right. So with this hand, the problem I'm seeing right off the bat is there's no way to get a Beedrill in potentially the following turn, but you technically have a 2-turn window for that. You really have to just maybe prioritize finding Big Charm and then from there try to set up something. This will be interesting to see what Sam prioritizes grabbing. You have to imagine you need to make it as hard as possible for Mew to get this knockout the following turn.
Yeah, I think I think you're exactly right from Sam's perspective. I think you're just kind of saying, well, if I didn't get the Beedrill this turn, which I obviously did, and I played Professor's Research, I have to just hope that I can keep this Arceus around, which I think the Big Charm will, unless there's, I don't know if there's any tool removing cards, but, and then saying, okay, now it's next turn is the Beedrill. But like you said, I mean, looking at the hand of Sam, it's going to be really hard to actually pull that off. But the Inteleon engine can do a lot of powerful things, so. We'll have to see how the next turn progresses.
Yeah, eyeing up that Big Charm right away. I think that's probably the smartest grab you can get at this point. Anything else just feels like it's not as impactful of being able to survive an extra turn. We even see something that we haven't noticed yet. There is one Sharon's Care in this deck, and that could be a big-time opening. The problem at this point, though, is what do you Sharon's Care into the following turn? You do have Quick Ball. Have to imagine that may be the grab if there is still an Arceus, and I see one in the deck.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a very kind of another line for Sam to stay in this game here.
Yeah, at the same time, the more I'm thinking about it, do you really want to bench Arceus at this point? Because that's just another easy 2-prize Pokemon that Grant can gust up and potentially take a knockout on. So I actually think this play is the smartest from Sam. Swing in, hope your opponent doesn't have the damage modifiers, or boss's orders to try to take a knockout on one of these 1-prize Pokemon on your bench.
All right, that's what he has decided to do, just taking a last kind of look through his deck before we move over to Grant's turn. Time actually is winding down a lot with fewer turns kind of progress as I thought originally, so we might be at risk of this potentially having some issues finishing, but it's like another Tails off Chromatic. Wow, Grant's been very unlucky with those throughout this game.
It has 2 power tablets to kick things off right away. It's got to be what you're looking for, but this is still anyone's game. I think this game could actually come down to, does Grant find the damage modifiers necessary to take a knockout? Otherwise, if you just swing with this Mew VMAX, Arceus is more than happy to trade into this. Sam can go down to 1 prize card, and then from there, either a persisting or a boss's orders knockout onto something like a Genesect is a completely fair and on the line option to close this game out. And we're just going to see typical things we see with Mew, right? Thinning the deck out, trying to draw some more cards.
It looks like we're going to see the Oricorio, and then the Oricorio gets Ultra Balled away for the Mew VMAX. So thinning cards, putting that extra Mew VMAX into play in case it ends up being relevant before we see some Fusion Strike systems. With just over, looks like a minute and a half remaining. Assuming this clock is right. We already have, I think, the 2 cards. Yeah, so there's the 2 power tablets.
Yeah, and we're going to see the first Fusion Strike system, see what the grabs are. There's the Choice Belt, so needs to find the last power tablet. But the problem is, it's in the prize cards, so there is no way, because of this Big Charm, for this knockout to happen, as long as my math is correct. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Kenny.
It looks like you're going to be right after the plus 40 off the Big Charm. So 369.
That brings it to 300, right? No reduction. Arceus at 310 HP. And I believe that last power tablet is still in the prize cards, and that's going to be potentially the big prize that Grant needed to avoid in this game, of having those modifiers be unavailable for most of this game.
Yeah, so now it's going to really be, I think, about... well, I guess I guess there's kind of a lot of play here as time starts to wind down, but it's really going to depend on what Sam can do on the next turn. Now that, assuming that this turn is going to, go to the when time expires, Sam really just is kind of in a position where he only has to kind of stay, not lose the game rather than win the game.
Yeah, it still has the line to win, though. Can go ahead and take a knockout with boss's orders and then potentially pull something out, as we are going to see Fusion Strike system continue to draw cards as time will be called very, very shortly for both of these players. Grant will be turn 0. Sam, turn 1.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Sam will be turn 1, right? So he does have the ability to actually win the game. Okay, so it's still, both players still live here. If time hasn't been called already, it'll be here shortly. Time has been called. We just got word of, so it's going to be really interesting to see how the next few minutes of this game plays out. I think there's a Pokemon catcher.
Yeah,
another
Tails. And this Marty, actually, if it gets played, will help Sam out. I don't think there's much going for him in this hand, as we are going to see the Marty get played, and this could now be a big opening for Sam. I don't think he had any access to be able to find boss's orders out of the deck. This could be a big break for Sam in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to feel for Grant here. So many tails. I mean, that's kind of what you sign up for when you're playing with coin flip cards. But wow, if just 1 or 2 of these had been different, this whole game would have been played out completely differently. And then kind of being forced to play the Marnie, just kind of what you got to do. And looking at Sam's hand, does he have the boss orders? That what the last card is? No, it's a Marnie.
No. Wow, this hand does not look much better. I think ordinary rods. Oh, it does have Scuba Net actually. Wow, yeah, it does have Scuba Net. That's a big deal. So this is actually very interesting. There's a potential here now for Sam to close this out. Just needs to find the necessary pieces. Looking at the prize cards that are still left, there is a level ball still in the prizes, as well as a double turbo energy. So those could be very big pieces in order to close this game out potentially. There's a double turbo energy. The Mew can go ahead and come up. I feel like if you're in this position as Grant, is there maybe even a relevance to try and, I mean, your play is now gone, but I was kind of wondering during the beginning of the turn, evolving this Mew VMAX, what does it provide? I guess another attacker later on, but it also now removes the ability to Psychic Leap and remove all this damage and the 3 prize damage Pokemon off the board, which now Grant is in sort of this position where you deal a lot of damage to this Arceus, but what from there, what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, we do see the retreat back to the Mew VMAX, and looks like Grant's still, Grant just said, I'm not slow rolling you, kind of just telling Sam, like, no, I'm just considering a lot of options at my disposal here.
290 additional damage is going to bring it 10 short of getting the knockout. Every damage matters, even as we get to bigger and bigger HP. Sam, consider this thing is still not knocked out. That's kind of crazy, but action starting out for Sam as things get going through. Hold on. Looks like we have some sort of a discrepancy here about
A Marnie, it looks
draws off of Marnie.
Chris, this was the top pair of my deck. I've already mixed it with my hand though, but I was supposed to draw for turn anyway. Right? I didn't know that it was gonna stop. This I drew already for turn, but there's no way to prove that this was the card I drew because I mixed it in my hand. I mean, you have the tape, but this was my Marnie 4, and this is the 5th 4.
So it looks like just getting resolved here. Technically had not drawn all the cards for Marnie at that point. I don't know what the legalities.
Sam only drew 4 off the Marnie?
I think so.
Oh, no, Grant played the Marnie, right? I guess I don't know what the discussion is they're having here, but the players and judges will figure it out. Again, this is one of the other things that comes with the great real life tournament system is mistakes happen, extra cards can be drawn, extra cards can be looked at. Not exactly sure what the issue is here, but that is one of the very few downsides of playing with real cards in real life.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that exactly works. You're going to have 5 cards regardless, so it shouldn't necessarily be a gameplay error major, which would be what would be needed for a prize penalty, since you're going to have those exact 5 cards regardless of if you have them now or if you had them 10 seconds ago at that point. It's kind of just my thought process looking at this through as an analyst of you didn't search the deck through, you didn't use any cards to search through. However, there is definitely a lot more that goes into these rulings. So our judges are trained, they know exactly how to handle these situations. That's why we have a detailed rule book for this. We're going to figure everything out, but that's at least my stance on it. But it looks like it actually may be on Grant. They're saying that Grant drew 4 instead of 5 cards off of Marty himself.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense to me, just given kind of the cards in Sam's hand and he was being very clear about that. I'm going to be the first to say I don't know how you repair that. That's why we have a staff of great, amazing trained judges here to kind of figure that out. It's a weird situation where normally you want to draw more cards left from Marnie, but the question is it advantageous to have fewer cards trying to fusion strike system? It's kind of a weird question. We're going to let the judges figure this one out, but hopefully it gets resolved in a timely manner and something that's kind of, I'm sure it'll be fair to both players. And
Yeah, at the end of the day, it probably makes sense if you're Grant. It's a long day. You've already played through 6 rounds. You're used to getting Marnie yourself, so most of the time when a Marnie is being played, when your hand is shuffling and you're being put on the bottom of the deck, it's usually you drawing 4 cards, so that has to be the thought process going through.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a very easy mistake to make, and even the situation I'm trying to bring up, I'm certainly not accusing Grant of anything.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's like, it's kind of, why would you even want to have one fewer card?
Yeah.
Like, if that's the argument, if the fusion strike system is the argument, you're going to draw it anyway, so... I'm sure it was an honest mistake. I'm sure it looks like they're going to go ahead and look at the replay of the stream maybe to see how to fix it, but it will get resolved, I'm sure. Very extremely tense moment for it to happen. Time has been called, which means I'm sure that for the rest of the tournament, time has been over for quite a while. These players have been in time for a bit. Really kind of tense, kind of last couple turns of the game, so you never like to see something like this happen, especially if it's going to affect the outcome of the game at all, and especially in these high-tension moments where players are really trying to focus. But again, that's something that happens in playing with real cards, playing paper tournaments, and that's why we have a great judge staff.
So we have a confirmation here for all of you at home to confirm something. So it is confirmed that Grant drew 4 cards off the Marnie, and the issue is, instead of drawing the 5th card, played a Rotom phone to rearrange the deck, and that is a big issue because that is potentially irreparable about what that 5th card would have been.
Right, it's also, this game is just completely different if there's some sort of prize penalty assigned, and then Sam's left with 3 prizes left in the situation, right? Like, this is a really unfortunate situation. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if that prize penalty situation I just talked about is what the ruling is going to be. We will figure that out for you and obviously express it to, you, the audience, when we know, but really unfortunate way for things to go here.
Yeah, this is where things are going to get tricky, so... players are just confirming everything, making sure on the judging end that things are correct. I just want to say, regardless of how this matches ends, this has been a blast to watch this match specifically against both these players. Seeing B-Drill come into play, that persisting to deal some insane damage, an instant knockout, a one-hit knockout on anything. It reminds me of, in the video game, some of those one-hit KO moves like Sheer Cold and Fisher. The low accuracy, right? They're hard to pull off, they're hard to work, they need setup in order to be consistent, but when it works, man, does it feel good.
Absolutely, and it's been nice to see. I'm glad that we're seeing sort of these players' decisions like, okay, I'm Sam Chen, I'm going to play Beedrill in my deck. And then we got to watch him play against Mew, and, you know, one of the decks that the Beedrill is in there for, right? And we saw that earlier with kind of the Darkness decks versus Mewtwo. So I'm really glad that we're seeing kind of the metagame play out kind of as it should. And kind of while we're on this subject, you know, we're clearly, as you can see, there's no judge at the table. We're going to take a little bit of, not a break, but we're going to take a little bit of a break in the action at least. I just want to say, you know, this is one of the biggest tips I can give you if you are someone that's watching this stream and you want to come to a regional or really any level of tournament, but if you want to come to a regional, you want to come to a, you know, NAIC, an IC or whatever, is don't be afraid to call a judge. I think that a lot of times it can feel scary to call a judge. It can feel like, oh, I'm telling on my opponent, or even I'm telling on myself. I don't want to get in trouble, or, you know, I want to give my opponent the benefit of the doubt. And judges aren't there to, you know, they're not there to penalize anyone, although penalties can be handed out. They're not there to get anyone in trouble. All they're there to do is to make sure that the game is being played fairly and maintain the game state. And so, you know, it looks like, you know, both players, even the table judge here, missed this interaction. We missed it. And I think that it's really important. You know, that's why judges are there, and don't be afraid to call a judge and kind of lean on that resource that we have here as a community and a game.
And on the other side of things, it's important to be aware of the cards that you're playing and what you're drawing. But that's not to discredit that you need to be aware of what your opponent is doing during the game. It's not all scotch-free if your opponent draws an extra card. You can still receive penalties for allowing your opponent to make those mistakes because you are still in charge of making sure the game state and the game board goes through. I have some confirmation here that they are looking into a fix that is potential. They're trying to see if it will work.
Okay.
It kind of gets a little bit complicated, but I am 100% a fan of trying to repair game states, of trying to continue play. It is important to keep the pace of Pokemon into play, keep the ideas of what's supposed to happen. Sometimes I remember back when N was a card popular, that accidental N shuffles and things like that. That is an instance where things are pretty much unrepairable. Things get very complicated. You have to take into consideration that hand knowledge is private. And if you shuffle cards in, there's no way to determine what cards those were.
Yeah, definitely. And I think to your point, it's a really good point to make is like you can, obviously in a situation like this, players are trying to play fast. They both know their decks. You know, a few minutes ago, time was about to expire, things like that. But I think it is really important to kind of slow down, take a second, and try to prevent these mistakes from happening. Obviously, they're accidents. Obviously, accidents are going to happen. But it's really important to make sure, okay, you know, let's just take an extra second or two just to make sure, okay, did I draw the right amount of cards? Am I resolving all of these effects correctly? Am I doing, you know, these things that you've done hundreds of times that may not seem like they're big deals? Well, unfortunately, if, you know, something goes wrong in a really high-pressure spot like this, they can be big deals, so... everyone makes mistakes. You know, I think another great point is just that almost every tournament player, I mean, I'm sure you and I both have our stories, have been in a situation like this, right? This is not something that happens every day. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully you only have a few of these stories to tell, but we all have a story of, oh, I messed that up. I can't believe I messed that up. It happened in X round of X tournament, and oh, I would have won if I didn't do this. So it's, you know, it's not like Grant is unique in this mistake. It's something that happens to everyone.
You've had an hour judge call too? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We all have our things. We all have our stories to tell, and that's what makes Pokemon so unique. So confirmation the head judge is working on a ruling for the situation. I don't even know what a solution would be in my head, so they're going to put the top brains together, try to figure this out, think through what will work out, what can potentially make this game continue to play. That's everyone's goal in mind. Sam is a fierce competitor, but at the end of the day, he wants to play the game how the game is supposed to be played. I know that winning is important, but at the same time, it's about finding that balance between winning, having fun, and trying to play. So that's kind of what you got to look at.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about, I mean, everyone, both players, the judges, everyone, all the interested parties are just interested in making sure that the game is played how it's supposed to be. And it sounds like, you know, I don't think they would be taking this long on this discussion if it were just simple as, oh, well, you know, Grant gets a penalty. I think that could end up happening. I think there probably will be penalties issued regarding the situation. I don't really like to think about that kind of stuff or speculate on it because I'm not a judge, but I would be willing to bet that the judges are trying to put together a situation of how can we not affect the match or the game as much as possible in our decision, with the caveat that, like, of course, we have to make sure that this is going to, you know, be honest and keep everything flowing as it's supposed to.
Absolutely. There are so many moving pieces in this situation. The fact that it's after when the issue occurred, too, means that there were fusion strike systems used. So it's going to be complicated 100%, but I'm hoping the ruling gets out soon.
Oh, looks like we got a judge.
Oh, looks like
We have a decision.
we are ready to make a decision. Let's see if we can listen in here.
Right, so just confirming what we knew happened. So I think, I don't know how well you can hear the judge at home. It looks like that they are explaining that this is an irreparable game state due to the shuffle off of the Rotom phone. Sounds like that's going to be a game loss for Grant.
Yeah.
So again, really, really unfortunate situation. I think no harm intended.
And with that, Sam Chen will take the series 2-1. It's pretty heartbreaking to see such a close game 3 in time, +3 turns, and that way. But as the judge said, and I agree with him, you can't confirm which cards were which off the Rotom phone. It technically was irreparable.
Yes.
The fact that the card was not drawn and then altered, and then the amount of cards was then influenced off of the decision of the cards in hand. There's plenty of ways to look at it where things are complicated. But and Sam even explaining, I think even with that at the end of the day, Sam still could have won that game. Happy we got to the end of that though. Sam Chen gonna take it, moving to 6-1. Great game played by Grant. Not out of it by any means at 5-2. Still a great chance to get into day number 2.